Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds!
Lacey Delayne is back.
What's
Back
up,
in the nerd
guys?
zone. I don't remember when the last time we talked. It feels like it was forever ago.
Yeah, it does.
You were not involved in the mayoral campaign, or were you?
No,
No.
I was
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
Yep.
So was the presidential the main thing, or did you get involved in the Humanity Forward kind of nonprofit and the political org, or what was your
No,
last engagement with the Yang gang?
it was the presidential, and
Yeah.
I was in recovery post that for multiple reasons, but mostly because I'm pretty sure I got COVID in January of 2020 before we had
Mhm.
any information about it. And I was out for like 4 months. Literally, there were days
Mm.
that I was in the bed all day and slept all day. It was awful. It was awful. Yeah.
God, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
so sorry that you had to go through that, and especially because at that point we didn't really know what this was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Mhm. Oh,
so
it didn't make it any better that we didn't know that what it was, because I was like, all right, I'm immunocompromised, so I didn't do
mm,
anything. We were so scared.
yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. It's so tell me a little bit about now I remember that you did start a podcast too though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about how that went and what's new with that.
Yeah, well, it's still going strong. We started it April of 2020 on the
Mhm.
lockdown, called Rethinking Humanity. I think a lot of us pivoted to the humanity as Yang pivoted to that phrasing,
Mhm.
but it fit well. And, one of the reasons why we started it was because of my passion for the writer named Eric Fromm, who he was really instrumental in me becoming activated around Andrew Yang's platform. And so
Mm.
Fromm wrote in the 50s a lot about how much we have become obsessed with the dead. And that might come off and sound weird because,
Mm.
like, what do you mean, like dead people? But I like it because it's provocative. But anyway, it's really not about dead people, it's about the unalive. And so when it comes to things that aren't giving us life and that take from us. So basically, with production and consumption, with work, and at the expense of the planet, at the expense of living things, at the expense of
Mm.
our relationships. And so think the Lorax. Anybody of you that have kids, think the Lorax, okay? Because profit, as Yang said, has become the bottom line. That's the all consuming goal. That is the number one. And who cares if, living things, the planet, the rainforest, animal species, human beings, are damaged in the process. We just need to make a profit. And so that's kind of what Fromm wrote about, but from a very psychoanalytic perspective. And he was also a sociologist. So his message and Fromm's message and Yang's message overlapped.
Mm.
If you click on "Let me read it first," you can see more, because that's our little homepage.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. So this is our little homepage. So, anyways, yes. So we recently moved over to Substack, which Scott Santons is on Substack now. I just found
Mhm.
that out. It's a great platform. We like to call it our subscription-based online podcast community. You can subscribe for free. You can subscribe for a paid amount. We just didn't want to do ads.
Mhm.
So that's why we decided to go this route. Plus, it's so easy to use, and I can blog. Sonia can blog. We can write on here as well. So, yeah, that's what's going on with the podcast, and I'm definitely planning to continue it in my exciting new journey that I'm about to embark on.
What was the before we get into the new journey, which we definitely will, because I'm super
Yeah.
jealous. What's an episode of Rethinking Humanity that you noticed got the most traction or the most interest?
Mm. Well, there's a couple. I would say we did an interview with a woman named Sherry Turkle, who was an academic from MIT. She started a whole wing of research on technology and how it affects humans and the interaction between the two. And she's been doing that for years. I mean, she's got some great stories, but we had her on after a year of doing the podcast. So that one is a really good one. Our earlier ones are awesome, but we recommend starting with episode 24 if nobody's ever listened. It's called Are We Sane? And that's a really good one. And our recent ones have been really good. Recently, we had a guest on, and we talked about Christopher Ryan's book, Civilized to Death. Have you ever heard of him?
No. Should I add that to my list?
Do it. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. He's also on Substack, and he's great. So that one's, again, called Civilized to Death. So those are a couple starting points for you.
What is Civilized to Death about? What's the premise of the book?
Oh, my God, it's so good. It's basically looking into how we lived before the onset of agriculture, how we lived before modern civilization, and comparing the quality of life to what our quality of life is now after civilization. It is fascinating. There is some incredible stuff in there. And I am getting really, really interested in learning, how did we live as hunter-gatherers? Because we are sold this message that we were the noble savages, and that like things were horrible and there was all this war and things are way better now. But Christopher Ryan presents a lot of evidence in that book from anthropologists that brings us to a place to question that. So, basically like how much slower life was, how much more human and we were, how much more we interacted with each other versus, screens and different things like that. So, wow. Yeah, it is incredible.
I'm adding it to my list for sure.
Cool.
And, is it like what does he recommend that we do anything? Like, what can we do? I feel like we're on this train that's already barreling down.
Yeah. Well, path. He definitely acknowledges that it's not like he says, I'm not advocating that we go back because I know that we can't.
Right.
But what he is advocating for is that we take a look at who we are as a species and how we've lived in the past and see how we might be able to integrate those ideas and those needs and those things that we did before into our society. So it's very similar to Fromm. Fromm is like, let's take a look at who we are as humans, who we are as a species, what we need, and what's going to cause us to thrive. And let's pull back a little bit and take a look at, rethink the way we're doing life, which is something I say a lot on the podcast, and see how we can adjust things to make life better for human beings. Because human beings, I feel like, have gotten lost in the process. And again, that's another thing that Yang said when he was running for president.
So tell me about, does that sort of way of thinking inform this? Like, what's this new adventure that we've alluded to? What are you doing?
I love that question because, you know what, even on the podcast, I haven't even shared about how, yes, it does. So I've been reading Erich Fromm for like 10 years now. And when I first started reading him, I was like, wow, this is so true. Like, there's just so much truth here about slowing down our lives and focusing on what can bring well-being for us instead of just thinking about, money and the machine. And so anyways, his writings have influenced me to want to put myself in a position where I can put my needs first and not feel like I'm controlled by external circumstances. He would say that man is free to the extent that he can be his own and be autonomous and make his own decisions. And some of you might say, well, I make my own decisions every day. Well, I think you might be surprised how much culture and media and all of that plays a role in what your decisions are, and how much um, your decisions might not all be your own. I think we're
Mm.
conditioned to think that they are our own, to keep the machine running, but I don't know that they really are. So yes, my journey from 2020 has taught me that as well. Being home and sick and unable to work, I slowed down a lot. And yeah, it's different when you slow down and you have time to think about things. It's easier to kind of see what's important and what's not important.
So in that world where you're kind of slowing down a little bit, and maybe like getting out of the hamster wheel to some extent, how do you think about all of the stuff that we've noticed on the political front, like since that presidential campaign?
Mm-hmm.
um you know, uh we had a presidential election where, and we had a lot of violence on January 6th, and polarization probably more than we've seen. And now, we've had a impeachment, a second impeachment, and now we've got a new president. We have a new political party led by Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
He ran for mayor. Like, were you observing all of that, like from kind of like from the balcony, saying like, "Oh, well, there's a lot of action going on down there. I'm not going to necessarily jump headfirst into it." Like, how did you
Yeah.
think about that stuff?
Yeah, I think you're describing it well. I think I was in a place where I had just really given as much of myself as I could on the
Mm,
presidential, and I was disappointed. I mean, who wasn't that we didn't go farther than we did? I mean,
yeah,
the ending was so anticlimactic.
it
It was so
was.
awful. It was like we were on this roller coaster and it was going great. And we were like, yeah,
Yeah,
we're going to do so good. And then we got to the top of the hill. And we're like, yeah, we're about to feel how good we're doing. And then we
yeah,
go downhill and crash into flames. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? I mean, it was awful. It was so disappointing. And so I think, to be honest with you, I had to emotionally recover from that. And
Mm,
because there was so much of myself
mm,
invested and I was so hopeful about it, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I think I've been, and I would probably say I'm still dealing with some disappointment with how much can be accomplished. I mean, we put so much effort
Yeah,
and into the campaign. It's incredible how much we did for a
yeah.
little teeny tiny campaign. And I'm not saying we didn't do anything, because we totally did. But I guess I was hoping for so much more. And so, yeah, I think it seems to me here in the US, it's progress is very, very, very slow. And so I had my hopes way up. and and I think I needed a break from all of it, to just readjust, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that whole Yang Gang era was such a concentrated amount of enthusiasm and effort and passion. And you almost like it was almost impossible not to have a big letdown unless he won.
Yeah.
Because like, and I think also we weren't really prepared for him suspending so soon. I think we all knew like, well, eventually like it might peter out, but not after, the second, after New Hampshire. It's like, well, this is the second inning of a long game.
Yes.
And so it did. I think it took a lot of folks by surprise. And, I think a lot of us took a while to process it. Do you
Hmm.
still stay in touch with Andrew? Like how is your relationship with, other Yang Gang folks and people on the campaign?
Yeah, so I definitely did. Andrew and Evelyn came here to Atlanta when who was it that was running? Warnock and Ossoff were
Mhm,
running,
mhm, mhm.
and yes, we did seriously normalize the idea of UBI. I think we had a hand in all those
Yes. Yeah.
stimulus payments. Yes, So I feel proud of that. So yes, I'm still in touch with them. They were here in Atlanta for the runoffs, and that was really cool. I got to spend some really good time with them. They're so wonderful, Tom. I know you know that because you've interacted with them, but they're just such real human beings. They're just, and they love having people around. Like they genuinely appreciated all the support and having people around. So I'm in touch with them on occasion and definitely have a good relationship. Super thankful for that. Zach and Carly too. But I'm not super involved. It's kind of like it was before, like, before I went on staff, it's like kind of how I was before, but it's great. I'm thankful for them. And it's wonderful to have made that connection and to have walked away from it with such a positive, relationship.
Yeah. So what do you, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think what Andrew's doing is super important. And I had an opportunity to participate in the Forward Party, and I think that it's awesome, but I just wasn't there. Like my lifelong dream has been to do what I'm about to go do. And so for me, it wasn't the right timing, but I think he is aware it's a long game. And I think we're going to look back in history and see like, wow, he was so instrumental in some big changes that we really needed. So I have a lot of respect and love, obviously, for Andrew.
Yeah. So what is this thing that you're going to do? What are you doing?
I'm moving to Spain.
España. Wow. So, how did that happen? Like, how did that come about?
Well, I lived abroad previously in Guatemala. This is probably like 8 years ago. And I had a blast. I loved it. It was such a great learning experience for me. And I left before I was really ready to leave. And so ever since then, I have wanted to live abroad again. But I've been waiting for the opportunity to do it, the right time. And so in the fall of last year, I started to think to myself, okay, I really want to do this. I really want to live abroad again, but I don't know where or how. And am I in a position in my life where I can travel abroad? Like the job that I went back to nannying. Before I was on the campaign, I was a nanny. So I was nannying again. And I was like, man, I want to see the world. Like, I don't aspire to get married. I don't aspire to have kids. Like, I just want to see other countries and cultures and all that. And so I was like, can I realistically do that right now as a nanny? And I was like, no, I can't. And so I said, well, what do I want to do with my life? I want to travel. So can I do that? Can I accomplish that? No, I can't right now. So what I said, I need to figure out a way to be able to do that, whatever that looks like. So I started looking into Europe. I started looking into Taiwan. I had a job opportunity in Taiwan. I did not take it because I just didn't feel like I was ready for that just yet. I also already speak Spanish. So Spain became interesting to me. I've never been to Europe. I've never even been to Europe, Tom. I've never been to Europe.
You're going to love it.
I'm so excited. So I already speak Spanish. So I was like, Spain is an easy one, I think. So I was looking at becoming a nanny. It turns out it's really hard to get a visa for work as a U.S. citizen. It's not that easy. And I found out about this program called NALCAP, or the Auxiliares de Conversación. It is a program in the public school system in Spain for English speakers to come over and be language and culture assistants for 12 to 16 hours a week in the public school.
And can you sustain your expenses on that?
Yes, absolutely. They give you a monthly stipend that's livable with local, on the local. Right, exactly.
That's amazing.
I was talking to somebody about it, and they were like, wow, that sounds like an early retirement. I'm like, oh, yes, that sounds like that's what I want. I mean, truly, the lockdown and me being sick in 2020 and not being able to do anything really changed my life, because it slowed me down enough to realize, how wonderful it is to not just have to do life on repeat every single day and just, get up to the alarm clock and hurry, go. It was like, I really did have a moment in space of autonomy. And I was like, I like sleeping in every morning and letting my body tell me whenever I'm ready to get up, you know? And so when I went back to nannying, I was like, I'm not working more than 30 hours a week, period. I'm not. I want to have time for me. I want to have time for reading and personal growth and painting. And I wanted to develop, you know, I want to self-develop. And if we don't have time for those things, we just don't do them, you know?
Yeah.
So another reason for a UBI. So when I found out this was a 12, 15 hours a week, I was like, this is it. This is
where will you be? Do you know where you're going to be in Spain?
Oh yeah. We will be in a town, a pueblo of about 12,000 people. It's called Villa Martin, and it's south of Sevilla by bus about an hour, and north of Cadiz. I think I'm saying that right. About an hour or two. So yeah, I've heard that that's a great region. I was hoping for Andalusia, southern Spain, and so that's where we landed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. There's Seville.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in this region, I'm guessing.
That's right. Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm.
It'll be warm.
It's going to be sunny, warm, not a lot of rain. I'm excited.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And so how long are you going to be out there?
As long as they'll let me stay. No, it's an 8-month program. So it's like a school year, but you can renew. So my hope is to renew. And at this point in time, I don't hope to come back and live in the US again. Like I really want to find home what country fits my values the most and make that home. Cause I don't feel like the pace of life here is what is going to fit me, the best. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, the United States is a big country, and I would imagine not every place is as kind of into the rat race.
Yes.
As maybe some parts of the US are. Have you thought about places in the US that are a little bit more up your speed, or do you think there's just something fundamentally disconnected from where you want to be and all the other states in the US?
Yes, I would say the latter. Yes. I think starting with healthcare, being in a place where it's so expensive, I'm debt free, work to be debt free, but that could change so fast in this country. The food quality, from what I've heard, is a lot better in Europe. Fresh vegetables, fresh produce. I walk to the marketplace every day in Guatemala. It seems that that's going to be something I can do in Spain. And I eat a vegan diet for my long-term health. But also that's going to be so wonderful and so easy. And then whenever I go out to dinner or whatever, I'm sure I'll eat fish because it's Spain, right? But my point is that I just think for my overall health and well-being, it's going to be somewhere other than the US is better, and that's just me personally, and that's just my life and who I am. But also because it's so much easier, like you said, I think before we went live, it's so much easier to travel in Europe. There's so many, I can see places so much easier. I want to see Denmark. They've got great social support systems in place. Switzerland, I believe, has great school systems. I have a background in education. So there's a lot I want to see, and I just think what I really want is a low cost of living life so I can be as simple as, so it can be as simple as possible. So, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for a place that, doesn't cost a lot to live. I can have a very simple, walkable lifestyle. I hate cars. I don't want to deal with cars. I hate paying money for gas. So yeah.
That is, your observation. I think I have a very US centric view where, I was raised the son of immigrants, and we were always kind of reminded growing up, hey, this is a place where, you make your dreams come true and anything's possible here, and this is a land of possibilities and unlimited potential, and everything's better here, right? And I think you are pointing out that if your goal is not to build the next, $100 billion company, or not to be like a worldwide, like, music star,
Right.
and you want to have a balanced, sustainable life,
Yes.
then that's not what we're really set up for. We are more of the, like, it's like the roulette wheel. Like, you can win huge or not, but it's not a place where you kind of are centered and calm and sustainable and at peace. That doesn't, at least many parts of the country. Maybe there are parts of the country would say, no, we're more like that. But I think the ethos of the country, is definitely more of the kind of make huge things happen, take huge risks, and if you do it, great. If not, then it's kind of only the like the law of the jungle a little bit here.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. But you said you love Spain, so I'm sure you felt the difference there. Like,
yeah. I think one of the assumptions is, it actually reminds me of when I lived in Singapore. I was chatting with a cab driver who was from Malaysia, and he was saying, well, the Singaporeans are all about or very much value, like, achievement and accumulation of resources, and they work like crazy hours, and it had this kind of like a New York kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, look, I choose not to engage in that model. Like, I want to spend time with my family. I want to enjoy my days, and I'm not here to optimize, for the next promotion or the next job offer, to kind of like accumulate the most wealth. And I remember when he said that, I was like, oh, that's so, quaint, but I wasn't really persuaded by it.
Yeah.
But, as I've moved on and, lived longer on the planet, I kind of reflect more about, the things that, I might have valued, like, in the past, are important, but they're not the whole picture. And it seems like, yeah, you're ahead of the game on me on that one, that you're trying to think a little bit more like a human.
And that is a main argument in Christopher Ryan's book too, and of course Fromm as well. But it's like, hey, what is it that we're really here for? And let's think about it. And thankfully, I have been fortunate enough to read and understand this, and I'm like, okay, this really is how I want to live my life. Like, I want to just have the chance to be and not feel like I have to force myself to do things all the time. Another reason why I love UBI too, because that does empower people in that way.
Now, I think it does require a change of, like, cultural values and expectations. So as an example, like, when I have traveled a little bit in Spain, like, you don't see the amount of, like, households with 3 cars parked in the driveway and a 80-inch LED TV and an Amazon box every day on your doorstep, right? Like, it's a different vibe, it's a different lifestyle. It's a little bit more modest, it's a little bit more humble. Certainly there's plenty of people of wealth in Spain, but I think generally it's more of it doesn't optimize for, like, accumulating a lot of stuff.
Yes.
But that sounds like what you want.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I don't want to accumulate a lot of stuff. I don't, because I want experiences. And Fromm would say that is how you build and maintain a connection, a relationship, love between individuals, is by experience, having experiences. And so I think we have been hypnotized and brainwashed to believe that the most important thing we need to do is get more stuff, because pretty much everything we do on a daily basis is towards work, which is towards what? Money, which is so that we can what? Get more stuff. I mean, what is the favorite American pastime? Buying shit. That's what it is. And I know that sounds like, I have total respect for our country, obviously. I'm just saying, for me, it's not the direction I want to go in. And thankfully, like, I've met someone amazing who also has the same values, who's coming with me to Spain.
Oh, tell us more.
Oh yeah. Well, this is somebody, I don't know if you guys remember, or if you remember, Tom, but I'm a soccer player. Mm-hmm. And so that was a really important part of my life before the campaign, and has been afterwards. But there's a friend of mine that I've been playing soccer with for years that, like, at some point I realized, like, oh shit, we have the same values. Like, maybe we need to think about dating, you know? And, so we did, and that was, I don't know, last year sometime. And it's like, I highly recommend dating a friend. It is really good because you already know the person, and their character. But it's been great. And turns out he doesn't want to work like a crazy person either. So we're going to go work 12 hours a week in Spain together.
What was that? What was that transition like, going from friend to more than friends? Like, was that a conversation you had, or was it just like a moment you looked at each other and you're like, let's do this? Or like, how did that transpire?
Oh, well, I'm very direct. And so that was a conversation for sure. And obviously he told me later, he was like, I've been thinking about talking to you and asking you if you wanted to date or whatever, but I just didn't really know how to handle it because we're friends and we're in the same friend group.
Right.
But we had gone out a couple of times as friends, and I was like, man, I really have fun with him. We always laughed together. He was my favorite guy at the field. We always played around and goofed off. And then we had a Christmas party, and that we just started talking, and we were talking about some of the things that I've been talking with you about like slower pace of life and that kind of thing. And I was like, wow, we have the same values, and I love him, like, as a person. It's like, maybe we need to date. And so we went out again, and just as the night went on, I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is going to work, but I think we need to give it a shot. So I just sat down and talked to him, like, I think we could date each other. I think we could be a good, match. I'm like, but I have a couple of buts. Like, one, we're the same friend group. Like, what happens if that doesn't work out? And two, like, I'm probably going to move to Spain if I have the chance. And he's like, well, number one, I think we're both mature enough to, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and we can just take a break and come back together and still be in the same friend group and be fine. I'm like, okay, yeah, I think we are both mature enough for that. And he was like, I support you going to Spain. And I was like, okay. And for the longest, he was not going to go. But then we came to a point where I was like, I don't want to go without you, and I just want us to do this together. So, yeah.
Wow. And can you sent me a picture of the two of you. Do you mind if I share that for our viewers?
Go ahead.
Just to meet.
This is Mo.
Meet Mo. Yes. You guys look very happy together.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you. He, Tom told me before we started recording, he was like, should I know who Mo is? Should I know him? I'm like, what do you mean? Do you have the other ones, the other pictures?
Yeah. Hold on.
The other ones. Because I was like, you're not the first person that said that. Like, is he some type of a celebrity or something?
I wasn't sure. Sure because I was like, because you sent it, and I was like, oh, like, should I be like, oh my God, that's Mo? I mean, he has a bit of a star quality to him.
He really does. He's beautiful, obviously.
Yes.
And he's
good-looking man.
He's just as amazing as he is beautiful. Like, he's so much fun. He's so kind and such a great listener and so open, and I just love him so much. I feel very fortunate. So, yay! Wow. Life changes a lot in 2 years, huh?
Wow. I was so happy for you. Look at that. I'll share one more picture
Okay.
Look at this one.
Oh yes.
Look at you two. Lovebirds.
I
Aww.
know, so sweet. He's so precious. Everybody that meets him, they're like, I'm like, oh shit, now you're gonna like him more than me now. They're like, is Mo coming? Where's Mo? Why isn't Mo here? I'm like,
I was just thinking, like, we need to get Mo in the Nerd Zone to do a joint conversation. Maybe when you're in Spain, we can catch up with both of you.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
You guys will love him more than me at that point.
We'll be like, okay, thanks, Lacey.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to Mo.
Right.
Never. So you also had mentioned to me that you're thinking about some merch stuff, right? Some ideas around OG Yang Gang memorabilia. Tell us some more about that.
So I have some really cool stuff from the 2020 campaign that I asked Andrew to sign to help me raise some money for our trip, and particularly for the first month of our time in Spain, just before we get our first paycheck, because it takes you got to work for a month before they pay you, like most jobs, right? So I have some really cool stuff. In fact, thank you, Leo. In fact, I might just show you some. And the stuff is really, really cool. And some of it is like stuff that Donald Glover made and that I wore on the campaign. So I don't know if any of you OG Yang Gang are out there, but this is the Donald Glover special edition hoodie. It's a really thick one. And then Andrew signed it. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's going, and this is what I wore after it happened. I wore this on the campaign trail. So that's one. I think this one is my favorite one. I wish I would have remembered to send you the picture of this. But this is Andrew's name placard for his dressing room at Jimmy Kimmel Live.
That's cool.
Really, really cool. Really, really cool. So that one, I'm gonna do some type of an auction. I'm figuring out how. And then for those of you Scream Team fans, we got me and Pamela Ty here.
Yeah.
Tyrene. Me and Tyrene, and this is obviously signed. So that's kind of cool. I know there's some really big Scream Team fans, and that was such a fun experience to get to be at the debates and
I
make
remember hearing it.
Yeah. And then I've got I also have the Donald Glover posters. I don't know if you guys remember those, but I'll show that in a second. And then we have a couple of the Newsweeks signed.
Nice.
That was really a big moment. I remember when that came out, and I was like, I got to get a few copies of this because this is a big deal. And this was my favorite pin. I don't know if you can see it. It's like sparkles in there too. And then this one, Original Yang Gang. Where's my OG Yang Gang at? First 200,000 donors. I was one of those.
Yeah.
Were you one of those, Tom? I think you were.
I'm pretty sure I must have been because I gave early, but I don't remember getting one of those pins. So maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Did you automatically get one?
No, you had to buy one. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know. I can't remember. And then, guys, if you haven't read the book, you gotta read the book. It's so good. I actually listened to it on audio, and after that I was like, I'm sold. This is signed by Andrew. And then two more little special things. One of them is from the Jimmy Kimmel, which I was there. That was really cool. Really cool to be there. I don't know if you guys remember, but if you Google it or look it up on YouTube, you'll see this. This was his joke. It was hard to see. It says, Yang in there, baby. Yang 2020. So Andrew signed that. But the nostalgia is real. Oh my gosh. And then here's the posters from Donald Glover. These were so cool. I actually have one up in my apartment here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah, that's nice.
Does anybody remember that? The pop-up in LA? Do you remember that, Tom?
I remember hearing about it. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
like a
Yeah.
big deal.
It was a big deal, and there was a
Yeah.
lot of people. There was a lot of people
Yeah.
that
There was
showed
a
up.
lot of energy from that event. Yeah.
Hmm. So, if you're
So how do
interested,
people get a hold of this?
yes, if you're interested in any of the items, what we want to do is we want you to go to rethinkinghumanity.us. You can do
Mm-hmm.
rethinkinghumanity.us and sign up for a subscription, a free subscription to our Substack, and then I will shoot you an email, and we can connect that way if you're interested in any of the items. If you just want to donate to the trip, you can send me cash through through Venmo. It's at Lacey Delayne, LACEYDELAYNE at Lacey Delayne. If you want to, you guys were so good to me whenever I was doing the Scream Team stuff. There was people who were like, "We'll send you money. We'll get you there. We'll get you to the debate. We just want you to be there." So I always like to give folks opportunity to show their support if that's something that they want to do. So I appreciate that. And then also while you're at rethinkinghumanity.us, check us out. I think if you really liked Andrew Yang, I think you're going to really like what we talk about on the podcast. There's definitely overlapping themes. That post on the homepage with the picture of me and Sonia, if you click on that, that's actually a blog post, and it's an outline, it's a description of who we are and what we talk about on the podcast, and it also talks about how the Substack works. So check us out and shoot me a message through rethinkinghumanity.us, and we'll get you some of these items.
It sounds amazing. I'm definitely gonna contact you separately to see if I can put a bid in for one of those items.
Yay!
It'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool because, like, he's just getting started. If he actually pulls off setting up a new party and maybe pushing forward on open primaries and ranked choice voting, like, it'll be a huge effing deal, and that memorabilia will be part of history. It'll be like in a museum at some point, right?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I do think, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, I think it's going to take time, but I do think that this is Andrew Yang is an historical person in the United States of America and in history. And so we may not see the results of that until 10, 15, 20 years from now. But I do think that this stuff will be valuable at some point, especially the Donald Glover stuff. That's so cool. And the Jimmy Kimmel. But beyond that, like the book stuff, it's all good, So
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming back, Lacey. It's been great reconnecting, and I was a little sad when I heard. I was happy for your health that you're a vegan. I was a little sad that you may not participate in some of Spain's famous jamón, that's famous like cured ham that is probably one of my favorite things to eat in the whole world.
Wow.
Do you ever make an exception, or
do you? 1,000,000% yes.
Okay.
Like I'm not this hard-nosed vegan, and it's like most of the time if I'm at home I'm eating veggies just for my long-term health, but I know I'm going to be in Europe, I will be making exceptions. I promise you.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think the Iberico jamón is like made from a very special type of pig that is fed a very special diet of acorns under a very special set of environmental conditions, and then it's cured in a way that is just pretty amazing. I've literally made YouTube videos about jamón, like how awesome it is. So I'm very committed to it. And there are plenty of other great hams like from Italy and stuff like that, like prosciutto. And if you like prosciutto is kind of like very badly done Spanish jamón.
Wow.
And I know that those are fighting words for some of the Italian people of Italian descent out there, but I challenge you to try really good Spanish jamón and tell me it's not head and shoulders above. So you're going to be in for a treat. And there'll be a little little bit of afternoon siesta time as well, because it does get a little warm, especially in the summer and stuff. And you're going to have a great adventure. I do hope, as an American, that you take some of that experience and learning that you'll have in Spain and eventually bring it back here. Because, if there's anything like America's a diverse place, and I think we can support lots of different approaches and ways of thinking, and we benefit from it. So hopefully we won't be losing you for forever.
Well, that is something that my co-host pointed out on a past episode. If regardless of what happens, and we both have family here in Atlanta, so that's totally not out of the question. But she said, going and doing something like this and coming back, you bring back such a wealth of experiences that it's also a value to your home country as well.
Oh yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Mo and I both are just like open to what happens. We're going to just take it one step at a time and enjoy it. And we don't have kids. We don't have property. We don't have anything holding us back. So it's a great time to do it.
Oh, absolutely. You should. So 100%. So happy for you and Mo. He seems like a really cool dude, and I can't wait to meet him at some point on the show.
We'll do it.
Or if you're ever in California.
Yeah, totally.
and so, yeah, maybe down the road you'll come back and you can teach Spanish for 12, 15 hours a week in the US,
Sure.
You never know how things turn out. And so for folks out there who are interested in any of that very rare, limited edition, one of a kind stuff, go to rethinkinghumanity.us. You can subscribe for free. You can pick one of the free options, or not. You can pick one of the paid options. And then Lacey will get in touch with you, and she'll maybe post some information there on how you can participate in the auction. And please like and share this stream so other people can hear about it, and then we'll be able to help support this cool trip, and everybody will get a little piece of history that wins the auction as well.
Yes, exactly. I definitely plan to post on rethinkinghumanity.us about the trip. So maybe we can check in with you, Tom, after like 6 months, and you guys get the pleasure of having Mo along too.
I love it. I can already see that golden Spanish sunshine, and oh my God, the croquetas, and oh my goodness, it's the olives and the fresh bread and the grilled fish and the jamon and the grilled octopus is also nice. So so much good stuff over there. Super jealous, but thank you for coming back on, and I can't wait to talk again in the future.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everything you're doing. Really appreciate your hard work and your, of the people.us work. That's awesome. So
yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, and we'll keep at it. Like you said, it's a long game. But with that, we'll say goodbye, nerds.
Goodbye, nerds. See you next time.
Bye, Lacey.
Bye, Tom.
All right, that was Lacey Delayne, back in the nerd zone. Wow, blast from the past. So excited for her. I think Elizabeth Norris was saying she sounds like she's in love. Yeah, that is for darn sure. Those two are definitely in love. Oh, it's so great. And they're going to Spain together. Oh my God, that's going to be amazing. Be an adventure for sure. Lacey mentioned that she appreciates everything that we do on this channel. I could not do it if it were not for our amazing channel members. You know who they are, but if you don't, I'm going to tell you. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just and you want to support more content, help us cover the cost for like our software fees. We also are a podcast, so you can also subscribe to us that way as well. And that's all of that is covered partly by our members. And our biggest member is Soldier One, who I think was in the chat for much of the program. I think he might still be in the chat. So Soldier One is the biggest channel supporter, and they are a senior vice president. They've been supporting this channel as a member for 29 months, upgraded 16 months ago. So thank you, Soldier One. At the VP level, we have Kristen Slevin and Bike, also OG. I mean, Kristen was 32 months ago. So fantastic support from Kristen Slevin and Bike. At the hardcore level, and you can just click the join link, become a member, and it starts at $1.99 for our verified nerds. So it's not a big ask. But if you're deciding between the nerd channel and helping Lacey out, why don't you help Lacey out first, and then we'll take whatever's left over. But on the hardcore level, we've got Gene, David, DK, Jekalego, Kirsch, Mr. History, Mona, Vaughn, Yang, Robert, Dean, Statner, Galessa, Jay Perrin, Dana, Jason, Parth, Daniel, and Mickey. And StreamYard is helping support our streaming costs, our live streaming costs. So thank you to StreamYard for that. At the entry level, by length of support, Lisa, Albert, Brandon, Arez, Sophia, Doris, Emerald, Ben, Rasta, James, Emma, Elizabeth, Ira, Shoni, Jameson, Doctor, William, Karen, Ardent, Zemery, Mai, Brittany, Warren, Wana, Lucky, Kevin, Nell, Toby, Jeremy, David, Nicholas, and Mike. And overall, across the entire nerddom, across all of nerddom, the youngest Nerds for Humanity members, most recent joiners, are Mickey, Mike, and David and Nicholas, all within the last couple of weeks. And the oldest members, the O of the OG, are Lisa, Jean, Kristen, Albert, Brandon, Arez, and David. So thank you to you all. While we're here, I am going to shout out some interesting candidates that you may want to think about, because election is coming up. And OTP of the people.us is kind of like a Yelp for up and coming candidates. It's all ordered by approval voting. So you can go to ofthepeople.us. Soldier One says, yes, I am here. And I was babbling the whole time. Yes, I noticed that. Not babbling, but I noticed that you were here. So let's talk about our Of the People candidates. Who should you consider supporting, learning more about? Lan He Chen, a lot of approval votes for him recently. He's actually a Republican running for California State Controller. I interviewed him on the Nerds channel. Gary Voter, Max Steiner also was interviewed. Jay Chen, Stephen Houlihan, Uline, David Kim, who I had on the show a couple of times, Amy Chai, John Fetterman, Jermaine Johnson. So check them out. There's lots of them. You can sort by policy issue. You can sort by zip code, by newest. Marcus Flowers. Yeah, he's going to be on the show next week, I think. He's running against Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the people that make Of the People possible, which is also an all-volunteer effort, let me give a shout out to our patrons. And you can become a OTP patron by just clicking on the Accelerate This Project link on the top part of the page on ofthepeople.us. Based on total support, our biggest patrons: Eric S., Elizabeth O., Tony P., Rockout, Iggy C., Aaron S., John P., Rob, Timothy J., Jessica G., Trickle Up, Muhan Z., Travis C., Austin B., Mai Z., and Dylan J. So thank you. I think the only other thing I will let you know is I'm probably going to try, I don't know, to do a stream where I react to Trump's latest speech. I did one where I reacted to Biden's now infamous speech with the red background. A lot of people seem to find that interesting. So I'm going to do part 2, which is a reaction to the one of our latest Trump speeches. But I think that's good for this stream right now. I'm going to go tend to my aquarium and make sure that the nitrite levels are under control. So for all of you fish keepers out there, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Deborah says, I like your reactions. Well, the orange guy, he definitely makes me stimulates reactions from me. And we'll be, oh, man, even just thinking about him, I think Trumper for Yang and some other Trumpers out there would say, oh, yeah, Tom's TDS kicks in very fast, the Trump derangement syndrome. But we'll see. We'll watch the speech together and see if my derangement is justified or not. Or maybe he's just a very reasonable man who wants to put America's interests first. And he's very selfless and smart and thoughtful and nuanced and logical and driven by higher values and principles. Maybe. All right. You all take care now. Goodbye, nerds. Peace.